Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online podcast, your multiplayer gaming podcast, brought to you by MMOBomb, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, and we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. News that it's just basically like, watching your parents fight sometimes, or you're in the other room and you can hear them arguing, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. Yeah, we got news like that. We also got news about, hey, you're out of a job, but we forgot to tell you. Please welcome your replacement. Yeah, that actually happened in the world of gaming. A lawsuit that gets thrown out because somebody didn't play enough Call of Duty. Yeah, everything I'm telling, this is not a segment of are these headlines real or fake. Every single one of these headlines we're going to cover today, absolutely real. Absolutely real. Joining me to go over all of it live on twitch.tv/mmobomb. You should join us sometime too, Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. But if you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes or Spotify, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, click subscribe, leave a comment down below. Of course, we'll have the weekly bombs and question of the week later. Yeah, this week is interesting. Chat's ready. Parents fighting. Don't know what that is. Joining me to go over all of it, Mr. Troy Blackburn, the noob fridge himself. What's up, sir?
You know, as the man said, if you're not here live, at least every once in a while on Friday, you miss the pre-show conversations, you miss the post-show conversations. You're missing half the show.
Yeah, I don't know about half. I don't know about half, but it's definitely a percentage of the show. Absolutely. Also to chime in with his thoughts, the one, the only, Anthony Jones. What's up, sir?
Hello. Today's a good day, good discussions, and I'm ready for it.
Ready for it. I put the show notes together, and I could not think of better hosts to have for both of these. So let's just get started right now with the news. All right, before we get into some of those crazy headlines, got a comment last week on the show about the timestamps that I put in there because I added a surprise topic and it kind of threw off the League of Legends MMO timestamp. So yeah, I acknowledge fair criticism. That was me adding a topic that everybody didn't know was in the show notes. So here, I'm going to add a topic that everybody didn't know was in the show notes, but I have already written down when it happened so I can kick the time notes over for you. So see? Feedback taken. I just want to bring this up because I saw, Troy, you tweeting with Jason Winter a little bit, and apparently you'd had a discussion that led to this tweet about Ashes of Creation. So Lazy Peon obviously has been following Ashes of Creation for a very long time. It's something that Peon's very, very passionate about and can't wait for. Had done a what is video years ago, very successful video, X million hits. And so now it's been a few years, time to revamp that. Things have changed, like they're going from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5 and, all those other development changes and additions that they have seen in subsequent alphas. And I had to ask because I couldn't tell from your tweet. We've talked about Pantheon in kind of like that, are you interested in this? Do you actually think it'll ever come out? Mentality. And I think Ashes of Creation right now, there are a lot of people that have that same feeling about Ashes of Creation. That could be interesting. I kind of like that feature. I wonder how that's going to be executed. Damn, is this game ever actually going to come out? Are you interested in Ashes of Creation? I couldn't get a bead on if you were making fun of the game or if it's something you're really interested in and we're talking to Jason about.
We were making fun of the game a little bit last night with just all the hype that's kind of surrounding that game. It's all anybody talks about it just talks positive about it, and there's very little criticism of the game. Of course, there's not a lot out there right now either. But I mean, I'm full of, Jason called me out on it last night, I'm full of hopium for that game. I'm in the sort of the vein of what you just described. Is I see features that look like they could be exciting, but until I see it all come together in an actual game, I can't say that my hype, I'm not just sitting here waiting for Ashes of Creation. I would rather some of the games I'm already playing just get better and improve themselves I'm not just sitting around waiting for that game to launch. So we were talking a little bit about the hype train. Lazy Peon especially is super hyped for this game.
Oh, yeah.
He's following it very closely, but sort of where all the hype comes from something that we haven't really seen any real hands-on time with from a lot of folks. And I compared it a little bit to Bless Online. It's just the next big thing coming, and it's a hype train that maybe it doesn't deserve at this point.
Do me a favor, check your mic. Ironically, I think you might have switched to your webcam mic because you are very open. You're very open when you talk. Anthony, how do you feel Ashes of Creation? Is it something you're interested in? I mean, it does have a lot of the kind of old school feelings that they try to put in these games with, very limited flying, right? Not a lot of people are going to have access to flying. And even if you do, it's going to be on a timed basis and things like that. There's just a lot of those, hey, go explore the world. No, we're not going to have fast travel, just zip, zap, zip, zap, zoop all over the place. Yeah. There are little teleports and spells that will allow you to do it at certain points, but that older mentality, we've seen it not exactly work in a modern era, but Ashes of Creation seems to be, evolving some of those features. Is it something you're looking at?
See, I want to go back to the word evolving. I think the scope of this project is getting very out of control in terms of, hey, we talked to this content creator, hey, we got these type of opinions, we got these ideas we want to do, and it seems like a lot of like pleasing and saying, hey, we're gonna have this in. I feel like that's where a lot of that positivity kind of comes from, because you could say one thing and then in actuality it's not as sharp and as polished. And I want to give the game, the benefit of the doubt, but even with everything that it says is going to, deliver on, I still feel like it needs to kind of adapt a little bit in terms of, like, as you were saying, like in a modern era, like MMORPG, like there's a lot of features now that kind of bites into being more streamlined, but also having an area for people who want to do those things versus kind of like forcing that onto the player. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I'm definitely gonna try it because it's like it's supposedly supposed to be really big and next big MMO RPG period. So I kind of have, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about it.
And kind of going in a little bit of a different route with the monetization, right? No box fee, but it will have a sub. So, we see that often. Yeah, and the cash shop. Yeah. Troy, go ahead. Your overall thoughts. Like, they do say here though that the game is fully funded. Like, they do sell access, founders packs and stuff like that and it'll get you alpha access, beta access, so depending on the pack you buy. But they have said, hey, we're not reliant on those. The game is fully funded. Yeah, those help. Those are great and may open up additional stuff down the road. But the game to get to launch, the road to launch is fully funded. But it is also one of those games like Pantheon, which we talked about a few weeks ago, Troy, where you look at and you go, the longer this takes to come out, the less likely I think your chances of success are. But I certainly don't want you to rush something like this either, because that just has such a detrimental effect to MMOs, a la New World, and other games. Oh, Troy's mad now. I slapped New World around a little bit, and Troy's mad now.
Playing New World again too. It's okay. Jason slapped me around in chat last night.
Yeah, your mic definitely sounds a hell of a lot better. You're on the right mic now. So you mock it, but you're going to play it.
I mock yes, it's fully funded through the investor that's backing the game, but it's also crowdfunded too. And just none of those types of games have delivered thus far. They either don't come out or they're not any good. Most of them just don't come out ever. And this one doesn't sound like it's anywhere near coming out. I mean, it's what, 5 years in development at this point. And yeah, MMOs take a long time to develop, but like you were talking, you got to find that happy medium between is this ever going to come out and coming out too soon?
Yeah, and let's not forget, this is the team that went ahead and did Ashes of Creation Apocalypse, right? That while they're developing Ashes of Creation, they decided to make that Battle Royale free-to-play Ashes of Creation Apocalypse that lasted, I don't know, it was like, what, 48 minutes? Something like that. I don't know. Yeah. It was gone pretty quick. It was gone like right after I posted the first look. Like,
and that's one of the pitfalls that other crowdfunded games have made. Like they promise this one big game and then they come up with some little small version of something else that nobody asked for, and they're like, don't you guys like this too? No, this isn't what we were asking for. This isn't what we wanted. Just shut up and make the game you said you were going to make.
You want some
Nobody's
game?
done it so far.
Anthony,
don't you want some game? Is this what you wanted?
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, it's definitely not a good look, having these smaller projects that really just kind of derails the whole process. It's like, what were you doing, And, the whole happy medium, like knowing when to release it is also very important too, because I feel like as they go into these dev talks and they interact with, their audience, they're kind of adding things to the pile, and it's becoming a little bit muddied on where to draw the line there, like feature wise, because there's a lot of stuff you can do supposedly in Ashes of Creation. So I feel like that's part of the reason there.
We'll see.
If they bring it all together and pull it off, they'll be the first.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Like, to me, I am definitely interested in Ashes of Creation and Pantheon. A little more Pantheon than Ashes, I will admit. The whole nodes thing, while I find it interesting as a mechanic, I don't know if I'd like to play in that sandbox. I'll have to see when and if the game ever comes out. But I just think you're if you're pinning your hopes on those types of games, I don't want to call them B-tier games because there is an awful lot of work, an awful lot of money, and a high bar of quality going into them. What I mean by B-tier is like they're not being made by BioWare. They're not being made by Square. They're not being made by Blizzard, like the big dogs in the MMORPG industry. They are made by somewhat smaller teams who have to seek their financing elsewhere. And that's totally fine. But if you pin your hopes on those being like the next big thing, I just think you're setting yourself up for disappointment to begin with. I am interested in Pantheon, but I don't look at it going, that is going to be the be-all MMO when it comes out for a while. No, I just don't view it that way. They are already targeting a somewhat niche audience because it's the MMO audience already, but then they're targeting a subset of those MMO players that do want that more nostalgic or 20 years ago feel with some modern conveniences. Like, I don't think they're destined to ever really be heavy hitters. By the same token, Troy, I don't think they need to be. And I think the teams realize that on both Pantheon and Ashes. We don't need to compete with Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2 or Elder Scrolls Online head-to-head and try and reach those levels. It'll be great if we do. That's fantastic. But that doesn't need to be the bar we aim for. But that requires such planning and execution that the smaller the team gets, it almost becomes harder to execute on that design vision and manage the finances accordingly.
And then you add in that Ashes is being described as a sand park, so it's not going to be a full theme park, quest. That's going to be a turnoff for a lot of folks just right off the bat. That's going to be like, well, this isn't what I think an MMO is. Now, folks like me, that sounds good, but to a lot of folks, a lot of the mainstream MMO players, they need that quest to the quest to the quest to the quest to the raids to the quest to the quest.
Right. It'll be interesting. We'll see. I guess I'll ask you the same question, guys, that I asked when we talked about Pantheon. Will Ashes of Creation actually come out at some point, Anthony? Will it actually release?
Yeah, I think it's going to release. hopes are that it's going to be within this decade. Because I would hate for it to be pushed to like 2030 or something like that.
Ashes of Creation, the first MMO on Unreal 7.
I
Unreal
was gonna say
7.
they keep messing around. Unreal 5's gonna get outdated.
But yeah, it's definitely gonna come out. I would say, I would say not officially within the next 2 years. I would say there'll be some type of like test or some type of like, consistent phase of like players can like kind of do some hands-on with it.
So maybe like a closed beta-ish.
Yeah, like a closed
like
beta.
around that phasing. Okay.
Yeah.
What
I
about
think
you,
that would
Troy?
happen.
Boy, they make it sound like they're gonna launch, don't they?
They do. They do.
Every company sounds that way until all of a sudden they go bust and they run out of money. I'm gonna say this one probably has the best chance to launch. I'm gonna say this one does launch. I think we're still 2, 3, 4 years away from that, but easy.
I kind of
but I think
agree
this
with
one
you.
does
I
launch.
think they'll get to the finish line, which is really just the starting line when you think about it in terms of an MMORPG. But the finish line, I think they'll reach it. I think I actually believe they'll reach it more than I believe Pantheon will reach it.
Yeah.
If I have to compare the two, because to me they're kind of in the same world. I think the Ashes team is a bit bigger. I don't know that exactly off the top of my head, but I believe the Ashes team is a bit bigger. So yeah, I'm gonna give the edge to Ashes. I'm certainly interested, but we'll see. We will see. All right, let's get to some headlines around the world of gaming. I mentioned watching your parents fight. So on last week's episode, we talked about Sony making their filing with Brazilian regulatory committees on the potential Xbox or Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard, and how multiple companies are giving the same testimony almost, for lack of a better term, in other regulatory bodies around the world, chiming in on whether they think this should be okay, should be allowed, if they have any regulatory problems with it. And Sony really in Brazil's filings seemed to be the only company that had a problem with it, saying that, hey, Call of Duty is a system seller. And we feel that, by allowing this purchase to go through, nobody can compete with making a Call of Duty competitive title. The team is too big. The amount of money and resources thrown at Call of Duty every year is just too much for any studio to absorb. Therefore, there would be no competition if they made that title exclusive, and people would just start buying Xbox consoles and not Sony PlayStation consoles. And we talked a little bit on this show about whether or not we agreed with that. Now, it is important to note here that at least for the short term, aka the next 3 years, Call of Duty is in no danger of going anywhere as far as not being on the PlayStation. There are contracts already in place. And now we see Xbox fire back. Xbox fire back about Sony's speculation. And it's exactly what I said, Troy. I don't know if it's true, right? They could just be PRing. But I literally posed the question before, is it really all that profitable to do that? Are you going to move enough consoles over the long-term idea of your plan to be willing to give up a large portion of Call of Duty sales for the next couple of years if you dropped it from the PlayStation? And Microsoft comes back to Brazil and says, absolutely not. We are not willing to give up that kind of cash. They responded to the claim saying that restricting IPs to their console would not be profitable. Microsoft's strategy is not to remove content from players, and they want to actually expand the Xbox Game Pass further, in addition to making the titles available on other platforms. Honestly, that's the way I've kind of felt this was going to go. Call of Duty is such a massive juggernaut, right? Like, you can't play with that finance. You can't play with that finance.
Yeah, and to me, it would be a little different if we were going into a new generation of consoles where, everybody's buying the next gen, so you want to push them over towards yours instead of PlayStation. But we're like in the new generation of consoles right now. We're right in the heart of it. So getting those people to shell out who have already bought a PlayStation and haven't bought an Xbox up to this point to shell out to buy an Xbox just to play Call of Duty, you're really pushing your luck on that. Like you said, it's going to be a lot easier just to sell those copies on the PlayStation, get that money and rake it in, and then let's worry about exclusives and stuff like that again when the next generation of consoles start coming out.
Here's the fun part of it, though, Anthony, and we'll get your take on Call of Duty in a minute, though. Mm-hmm. Further documentation in this filing from Xbox says, oh, by the way, we'd like to let you know that your other parent, Sony, your other parent is actually paying devs blocking fees so that devs won't put their games on other distribution platforms, including the Xbox Game Pass. They're alleging that they're saying that Sony is paying devs blocking rights so that those devs will agree not to put their content on the Xbox Game Pass. They say, indeed, Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been obstructed by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights to parent developers to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. Sony does not want attractive subscription services to threaten its dominance in the digital distribution market for console games. So Xbox, I don't know which one's mom, which one's dad. Maybe they're both dads. Maybe they're both moms. I don't. Parent 1 says, hey, you can't take the baby. Parent 2 says, we ain't taking the baby at least for the next 3 years, and it wouldn't be profitable for us to take the baby after that. By the way, Parent 1, stop going behind my back and not letting me buy up more children, Anthony.
And the funniest thing, the joke in all this is that it all started because of Sony talking about Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They never said anything at all. Their lingerie wouldn't be on display for everyone to be like, oh, wow, that's actually happening. And I mean, it just goes to show that like Sony is kind of like trapped in like the last like couple generations of strategy. Like they're a very exclusive, dominant, company strategy, with the PlayStation console. And Microsoft has kind of been more diverse in its strategy, even though, some parts of it has failed. I would say their response, and they even say this in a report, their response to the whole console war was Game Pass. And it is just so like hilarious to me that Microsoft kind of like dropped this bombshell and it's just like, hey, you're doing this, you're obstructing like my sales, and you're talking about this, that, and the third. And it's just so it's so bad. It's so bad. And it just makes me think like what games did they, pay for? And it's like, it's kind of crazy. Like what games did they pay for?
If you look at it like 30,000 foot, Troy, it absolutely looks ridiculous, right? Like devs are now incentivized and paid to not sell their game. Like Microsoft will give you money to let them put it on the Xbox Game Pass for free, and you won't sell copies. I mean, unless somebody wants to buy it and own it permanently, they're afraid it might come off of Xbox Game Pass at some point. And Sony's on the other side saying, I'll pay you to not sell it at all. Like
how much you paying?
Right? I'll give you money to never put it anywhere. So yeah, you're incentivized not to sell your product in some regards.
Give me them dollars.
Yep. And that doesn't even talk about like paying people for exclusive titles and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very heated exchange, I would say, because I mean, Microsoft, from what it seemed from the report, they're kind of like, Sony, they're just mad. They're more concerned about like the other third-party big fish like Google, Amazon, and Epic, because they have more of a, I feel like they have more of a incentive to kind of go in this kind of subscription service route. And they're kind of fearful of that rather than Sony's, hogging all of the exclusive games and not really wanting to like part with them. Yeah. They're very console minded. And this generation has been far from that. This has been the age of like making things more cross-play, more, friendly to crossplay, even if, it might be something that started on one console, it eventually, opens up. And so I feel like that strategy of keeping it at one place has kind of like, it's gotten old, I would say.
It's a little weird though when you think about it though, because companies have been paying money for exclusives, whether they're be timed or console exclusives or PC exclusives or platform exclusives. Like I think that's different, Troy. Right? That I'm going to pay you X million dollars, and your game is gonna be on my system for the first year, nobody else. This is kind of the other side of that, which you don't see all that often. Some people in chat saying, "Oh, this is business as usual." Kinda, but not, because this is literally like, hey, I'm not going to pay you to make it exclusive to the PlayStation. I just don't want you to put it on Game Pass. I'm not telling you can't sell it on the Xbox, you can't sell it on Steam, you can't sell it on Epic Games, or I'm not paying you X million dollars to make it Sony PlayStation exclusive. I'm paying you to keep it off of one service. And while I'm sure this stuff has happened before in the background, absolutely, I would argue that is not exactly business as usual compared to just going and buying exclusives. And I just feel like Phil Spencer was probably like, when he saw the filing, was like, "Oh, you mad, bro? You mad? You mad, bro?"
Look, I'm thinking up a video game idea that I want to put on Game Pass. Sony, holler at me. You can pay me not to even develop it. That'd be great.
I do like reading all these filings, though. I will say that. Like, it is like watching your parents fight, watching them duke it out. A few more other odd pieces of news. Any of you ever been fired via Twitter?
Nope.
Definitely not.
No? Any of you welcomed your replacement on Twitter prior to finding out you were fired on Twitter?
No.
I wouldn't say anything.
No. Overwatch League player Sang-Min Seo, who played for New York's Overwatch League team Excelsior, found out that he was no longer a part of the team when his organization said goodbye to the player in a tweet. In a tweet. What makes this worse is that several hours before that goodbye message tweet, the Excelsior Twitter account welcomed their newest support player, and all members, including Seo, began to congratulate and welcome the latest member with no idea they had been replaced. Then hours later, a tweet breaks, letting Seo go and wishing them good luck and everything. Seo had no idea.
Yep, that's how he found out he was gone.
None. New York Excelsior did take to Twitter later, saying, "Today we posted an announcement thanking mmorpg for his time with us. However, we failed to properly communicate with the team before this announcement was made. We take full responsibility. There are no excuses. To mmorpg, we are deeply sorry for our miscommunication and putting you through this situation."
Yeah, what was it? The initial tweet, he responded with a question mark.
Yeah.
Being released. He was like, "Huh?"
Sent a literal question mark tweet reply. That was it.
This sucks. This is dumb. What a bad PR look for these folks. It's not that hard to let somebody go, communicate with the team when you're making changes like that. Unfortunately, it does happen. It happens to pro basketball, baseball, football players all the time. They'll find out they're traded when everybody else does via the tweet. Stuff like that happens all the time. But something like this, when you're just letting the dude go, that's a messed up way to do it. And there's just some human decency should be involved, and let this kid know that he's being replaced.
Like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, Anthony, and be like, this was 100% a mistake, right? But their announcement really doesn't help me with that. We failed to properly communicate with the team before this announcement was made. How?
That makes it sound like they didn't tell anybody.
How? How did your social media handler know? Right. And not the team. They didn't say, we forgot, we didn't have the meeting with the player. They said they didn't communicate to the team. So presumably by that statement, The rest of the team didn't even know they had been let go.
Yeah. My hot take is that originally everything was fine. And then somewhere along the lines, it was like, hey, finances are short. We need to cut this guy.
Right.
And they just said, just send a tweet and, we'll just take the backfire. And then, we'll just be like,
But
hey,
they brought on another player.
Exactly. It's confusing.
They brought on a replacement. Ugh.
It's bad all around though. It's bad all around. If you're going to hire people, take people off, it's like what Troy said, human decency, but also, I mean, I'm a strong person of like, if you're gonna do that type of stuff, do it on separate days. But I know that each company is kind of different, but do it on separate days.
And we're not talking about like an overabundance of corporate structure on top of them, Troy, where it's just like 9 HR departments that got to coordinate all this stuff. Like, no, I mean, granted, it's not a 1 or 2 person organization. It is a professional Overwatch League esports team. But there isn't 9 layers of corporate management that like, it got lost in the shuffle. Like everybody knows each other in that type of organization.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not Google.
Yeah, you
even
your
Google
boss.
does it right though.
Speaking of esports, on the other side, Riot Games, they are going to go ahead and permaban former TSM coach Peter Zhang from LOL Esports.
This dude is dirty.
Yeah, Troy. So he was accused a while ago of diverting players' salaries or portions of players' salaries to himself, and Riot Games confirmed it.
Yeah, what is it? He's taken over $250,000 worth and would have done more if he hadn't been fired. He was hitting up players to take out loans to give him money. He sold a car for a member, apparently an $80,000 car. He gave the guy $35,000 of it and kept $45,000 for himself.
Right,
this dude,
that's a hell of a commish.
That's
a hell of a commish right there.
like, there's no way this dude sold his $80,000. He might have said, "Yeah, I'll give you some, whatever to sell the car for me," but it wasn't going to be more than half of the value of the
Troy,
car.
anytime you want to sell something and you are willing to give me 65% of the take, I will sell it for you. I will find a buyer.
I will give you a call, sir.
I will absolutely find a buyer. Yeah. Anthony, this is just what's going on in esports, man. Esports this week.
Yeah. Ever since I've been kind of covering it more and more, like esports as like a industry, like there is like not a lot of protection for like players and staff, and there's not a lot of what's the word? I'm like blanking. There's not a lot of responsibility taken for like these mistakes and like missteps. I think about the whole the Overwatch League that happened like not too long ago, where the rules was changed and like players, were confused on like how many matches they were gonna go, and then you got this. There's just like so much going on within this industry, and it's just like it's all very just like crazy.
It's a college chat talking street justice. Ain't nobody beat this dude's ass yet. This dude's ass yet.
And a coach doing this, it just kind of says like, what other coaches are doing some grimy shit?
You don't have a picture of this dude loaded either, do you?
I don't. I'm
it
looking at it.
It wouldn't take much to beat this dude's ass.
Like I did not. I didn't want to put up an image. I just didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to go there.
It's bad, terrible.
All right, let's talk about the court of law. So last month, Activision Blizzard got themselves sued again. This time, though, it was by Brooks Entertainment. If you've never heard of them, you're not alone. They were alleging that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare stole elements from games that they had pitched previously to Activision Blizzard. Okay, you're with me so far, right? I mean, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, we just saw Activision Blizzard take skins out of Call of Duty because they stole them from an artist, right? We wrote about it on MMOBomb. So not out of the realm of possibility for me to go pitch something to Activision and them say, thanks, but no thanks, and then a couple of years later, find pieces of it in the game. That's so fine. So they go to court. Let's get it adjudicated. Apparently, see, now what had happened was Brooks Entertainment really didn't even understand the basics of the game of Call of Duty or who the main character was, leading Activision Blizzard to claim that their lawsuit and the people filing it were just delusional. They used that word, in quotes, in a court of law. The plaintiff is delusional. CEO Sean
accurate.
Brooks of Brooks Entertainment apparently pitched 2 games back to Amazon or Activision between 2010 and 2015, one called Save One Bank and one called Stock Picker, and alleges that Infinite Warfare copied those titles, and the evidence that they used to show this was how the Infinite Warfare main character, Sean Brooks, infringes on his company entertainment character, Sean Brooks, of a slightly different spelling, the CEO's persona. Brooks segued then into claiming that Infinite Warfare and Save One Bank shared familiar first-person and third-person shooter mechanics with a scripted battle scene in a high-fashion couture shopping mall, and that both main characters fly to Mars. If you are a Call of Duty war player and you have no idea where those characters or bits happened in the game, you're not alone. You are not alone, because Nick Reyes is actually the Infinite Warfare main character. Totally different name. And so that kind of shoots this whole case right away, to the point that the judge says, yeah, this ain't gonna fly. Your claims are legally and factually baseless. Clearly, you have not played Call of Duty enough to realize what that is and what you are alleging here. And that Activision Blizzard said in their comments that they said, hey, Sean Brooks is an Irish Space Marine, and Sean, S-H-O-N Brooks, is an African-American San Diego-based financial consultant and cigar salesman. So 2 clearly different entities judged threw the case out.
Didn't they also say that he never pitched them a game somewhere down in there?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I forgot
He
about
never
that.
pitched it.
Activision
Yeah.
says, bullshit, you never pitched us anything. How do you forget that? Like, oh my God.
And by the way, this Sean Brooks, the real life Sean Brooks, was ordered to pay court costs for Activision Blizzard, and for some reason, Rockstar was included in his lawsuit.
Yep.
Because he tried to go for Rockstar as well, that they also did some things and they took some liberties of like those projects, but no one can find these projects. The company is non-existent on the web, and I mean, I don't even know the guy's real name. Like, this is like crazy. It's bad.
Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely nuts. And then on the Activision front, I had just mentioned the Loyal Samoyed cosmetic has been removed from Call of Duty. We brought up on a previous show that a Twitter user, Salin5, was saying, hey, I did the art for this. It was my own. I posted it on ArtStation back in 2019. How do I get in contact with Activision? They stole it. Activision did go ahead and remove it. And they had this to say, that they called it, we have the utmost respect for creativity and content creation. We love the Loyal Samoyed, but regrettably, we erred in our process and have removed this imagery from the game. We apologize for the misstep.
That was one of the most one-to-one ripoffs I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about damn near exact.
Yeah, we showed the images on a previous show when we were covering Salen's accusation of the plagiarism. But yeah, we followed up. What they didn't say, though, Anthony, is that A, somebody was fired or for passing off art up the chain as their own, or B, hey, we're gonna give Salem 5 a little bit of a commish, not to the tune of 65% though. That's different. That's only when you sell something for somebody do you get 65% of the sale price. And so I wrote in the article, like, what they didn't say was that someone was fired for pushing up the chain as their own creation, or that any compensation would be given to the artist. While it's great to see them acknowledge the issue, that's really the bare minimum that they needed to do in these types of cases. And it shouldn't just be up to individual artists to actually search the internet to see if their work is being stolen by some big AAA company. And without any real consequences for the companies that have this happen, we're just going to continue to see it happen over and over again as we do. This is even more likely given how a lot of this creative or skins or cosmetic works aren't actually done by the companies that make the game. They're like farmed out to much smaller companies who give less of a shit about plagiarism than the AAA company might. To me, Activision Blizzard should not have been able to walk away with just, we took it down. We took it down. That's the bare minimum. There needs to be something else that happens there, Anthony.
Yeah, that definitely does need to be. I mean, I don't know exactly what exactly. But something I will say, with this whole, there's all these live service games that have, skins, and there's this, appeal of like, hey, you can buy this skin, and, you can use it. I just wonder, why don't they just like enlist like these freelance artists that are solo and have them help kind of like produce more skins for the product, instead of like having this game of like, hey, we're gonna leave it up to this team, and if things come back to bite us in the ass, we're just gonna say, hey,
I hear you, Anthony, but that would result in having to pay somebody.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Paying people's hard.
There's no telling how much stuff they get for free from other folks that they've ripped off. And then they just don't get called out on it. But I'm with Mike, man. The lack of repercussions for this for a company that big. If I was to plagiarize, so let's say I plagiarized an article and put it up on MMOBomb, the moment that got found out, I would be done.
Yeah,
I would be ruined. I would never work anywhere again. That would be the end of me.
Shane for life.
Well, I mean, you'd still have your OnlyFans.
Yeah, I'd have my OnlyFans. Yeah. That's right. Woo! Come check it out.
You'd still have your OnlyFans.
That's where all the money comes from anyway.
Gross. Let's go ahead and talk about some games coming up and some delays, because we've got two of each. Let's kick it off with Arc Raiders. If you've been looking forward to getting your hands on this first free-to-play co-op shooter, this is actually being bounced into 2023 along with like everything else right now. Everything else. Arc Raiders team taking to Twitter saying, we've made the decision to delay Arc Raiders to 2023. Arc Raiders is an ambitious game, and we'll be using this extra time to expand the experience and allow it to reach its fullest potential. We will be diving into more details as soon as we start to test the game more extensively with players. The excitement around Arc Raiders since its reveal has been so encouraging for us, and we truly appreciate your support. The Arc Raiders dev team at Embark Studios. What we did not get anywhere even remotely near that, Anthony, is even a release window, let alone a date. They just want to test the game more extensively.
Mm-hmm. I am of the opinion that, hey, take the time you need. Take the time you need. Make it good, because once you put it out there, it's gonna be bad. And I mean, there are, recovery stories like, Final Fantasy 14, you got No Man's Sky, but those games had more of an explosive kind of like backing, and more eyes were on it. This game, I don't really know if there's a lot of eyes on it in general. So it has to perform and do well. And I think, stepping back to kind of take care of that is, important.
Troy, you looking forward to Arc Raiders?
No, it looks like just another shooter to me right now. Looking at the cinematics and stuff doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. Maybe delay is good for it. Maybe they got more time to really flesh out something and do something a little different, make something a little special.
Cool. I mean,
Yeah, I just like I'm with you, Anthony. I kind of feel like that famously misattributed Shigeru Miyamoto quote, like a delayed game can still be good, but a bad game released is always bad. Yeah.
But you gotta know what's good enough. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You gotta know.
You gotta know. On the
Or
other
the best that you can do.
Yeah, you gotta know. Otherwise, you're gonna get your resources are gonna dry up, and you're just kind of gonna be sitting there with a failed title.
Nightingale, one that Jason Winter's looking forward to, that's being delayed to early 2023 as well as the devs upgrade to Unreal 5. And I feel like you probably should have started there. Like, Nightingale, granted, has been in development for a little longer than we were even aware of, but I feel like if you're just now switching to UE5, you probably just should have finished on UE4 and called it a day.
Yeah, probably so.
This seems, I don't know. Their statement
judging by a lot of their stuff, they seem like they were like getting close, like getting really ready to launch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and now they're moving up to another game engine.
Yep. Pushing it back to upgrade to Unreal 5 and focus on making quote unquote key improvements. The move is based on two considerations. The first is to upgrade to Unreal Engine 5. After reviewing the potential UE5 has to offer, we decided on upgrading now rather than waiting until after release. Secondly, Inflection Games is committed to delivering the best possible experience and fulfilling the promise of what Nightingale's universe of realms has to offer players. To achieve that, the additional time will allow the team to make key improvements, bolster content, and polish gameplay. In the coming weeks, you'll see more game and development updates from the team. Thanks for your continued support. I know Jason Winter looking forward to that one, and I am somewhat interested in that one as well. But yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to that.
I'm interested as well. I'm interested.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check that one out for a while.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the delay though, I mean, it's one of those things where do you bump up to a new thing that you've seen footage of, you've seen the capabilities, and you wonder, hey, would the game be better on that? And if you want to go for it, I mean, sure, but like, hey, now that you delayed it, it's going to have to be really good now. So there's that expectation kind of feel. And as far as like key improvements, I mean, I'm really curious what that is, and I'm also curious what they're deciding to release as far as like updates within the coming weeks. I would like to see more on it.
Yeah, definitely want to watch it, but more 2023 delays. Tower of Fantasy, on the other hand, came out. I mean, some of you have been able to play it, right? Like some of you have been able to log in. Not all of you, but some of you. I have not yet. I mean, I have it all installed and everything. I'm going to be streaming a little bit about it today. I had it installed on release day when I hit up Anthony, and I was like, hey, it's a big title. Got to move quick on the first look. Don't want it any later than like Tuesday is when I want to post it. But we can't sacrifice on quality, entertainment, fun, like all that stuff. Are you up for it? If you aren't, it's totally cool. Tell me. I'll take it. I mean, I've been doing this for a little while. I can take it. You're newer. Do you want it? And Anthony was like, big dog, I got this. And so have you played? Have you been able to get in? Are you experimenting in it for your first look? What are your early thoughts?
Oh man, early thoughts. I've taken the time to, play the game and get an idea for what everyone is kind of like saying about it. I got a mixed bag, positivity, but also that, hey, this is no Genshin Impact. It does not, approach that game at all in terms of polish. In my opinion of it,
well, and they are two different things, right? You always hear Genshin Impact
games.
being the comparison point, but Genshin Impact is a very single-player game. This is not. Even though it might aesthetically look the same, have some similarities, it's like comparing an MMO to Breath of the Wild almost.
Yeah, it's definitely. And this game has an issue though. Like it has a very ingrained issue. Like it's undercooked. It has a lot of weird inconsistencies. It's trying to be too many different games at once. And honestly, I see it more as like a anime MMO in a vein of like, something like Blue Protocol, but like it throws in the Genshin gacha aspect of it, and it kind of comes apart a lot at the seams, and it's just a very it's like a very side game. It's not a main, game that you play. It's just something you kind of pick up, play a little bit, put it away, you explore. I mean, it has some cool ideas, but a lot of things are kind of undeveloped, undercooked, and the devs kind of hinted at that a little bit. They were kind of trying to soften the blow a little bit on expectations, before release. So I mean, I feel like the hype is what got to it, and then you think about the PR strategies that happened before the game released, and it just everything was just very shady. They would kind of blow it up and make it seem like it's like the next coming of XX game, but actually, it's actually not that great. It's a very standard game. It's a fun time, but I really can't say much about it outside of that.
Being a little more direct here than he can be in a first look. So go ahead and enjoy that, viewers.
Oh, definitely.
It definitely expressed both sides of the coin in the first look there, goods and bads. Troy, any interest? I know you're not a huge Genshin person. You've been mildly watching Blue Protocol, which, chat is talking about. Wasn't that delayed recently? That was delayed months ago. Months ago. And other sites just found it like a week and a half ago. Like friends of mine who do YouTube content creation, I literally questioned. I was like, why are you doing a video on this? This is so old. But is Tower of Fantasy something you're going to jump into?
No, Tower of Fantasy is not anything that I'm interested in at all. Like you said, slightly watching Blue Protocol a little bit. But hearing Anthony describe it, a game that can't decide what it wants to be, that reminds me of early Elder Scrolls Online, a game that couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a full-fledged MMO or a Skyrim Online. So that can be overcome with time. It's just a matter of will the developers actually choose a path and sort of take it, because at the end of the day, you want your game to be something, and if you try to incorporate just everything into one game, it doesn't typically work out.
Justin saying Tower of Stolen Assets. Yeah, we talked about that on this show.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And assets.
The stealing of the reviews right from Genshin Impact's page. Yeah. Rumbleverse came out yesterday, a little battle royale action on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and the PC via the Epic Game Store, developed by Iron Galaxy, published by Epic Studios, Epic Games. This is that free-to-play brawler-based battle royale. So the first look video is up. You can see that on our YouTube page. You can watch it over on mmorpg.com. Chime in on your thoughts on the game. Get a complete overview of the entire game and the cash shop and all that stuff. Nothing really egregious in the cash shop. It's all cosmetic, but it does do that stupid manipulative tactic where the bundles of coins or currency is not quite enough to buy the things you would want, or it's a little more than it. So you always end up with some left over, so it makes the next purchase a little easier. Yeah, it's hugely manipulative. They do that here.
It's very Fallout 76 like.
Yeah. All free-to-play games kind of do that. They're definitely doing it here. I guess Epic Games, Troy, decided Fortnite just wasn't making enough. It wasn't making all of the money. It was only making a lot of it. Right. So let's make another one. This one, very... I don't need to explain anything to you. It's a battle royale through and through. There's no changes to the rules or mixing things up a little bit, with the exception of you're not picking up guns and stuff like that. It is very in-your-face, over-the-top, cartoonish melee brawling in the streets of the city while you're picking up abilities and things like that. Obviously, I've checked it out, so I'll give my opinion in just a second. I've done the first look for it. Troy, did you get a chance to check it out? I gave you a warning yesterday, but I didn't know if you got it.
Yeah, I did. I actually played a little bit last night or yesterday afternoon. The first thing I tried to do, I was disappointed that I couldn't pick up cars and throw them. But I guess I'm not the Incredible Hulk.
But
that's the very first thing I did when I got in game. I was like, can I throw this car?
There are some cars you can bounce on, though. Like, not jump on them and then jump again, which it does have a mechanic where you can jump higher the second time if you time it when you hit the ground. I'm talking about, like, you just jump, and when you hit the top of the car, you bounce. What is going on here? But not all cars. Whatever.
And then I had a question, because I didn't watch your first look on purpose since you wanted me to play it and kind of give my opinion of it. Did I miss the tutorial?
Yeah, so it is one of the
Because
first things I mention when we get to like just 2 or 3 minutes into the first look. I say, what the hell is Rumbleverse? And I give a description of Battle Royale Brawler, and then I say, the first thing I'm going to recommend for you, or I'm going to let you know, is I hated the way this game did its tutorial. There isn't really a tutorial.
I was going to say, I didn't ever saw a tutorial, so I just jumped into a game and got my ass whooped for the first 30
Yeah,
minutes.
and so in the first look, I do recommend that you go into the playground mode, because you can queue in solo, duo, or playground. Go to playground, turn the option for combat off, because you can toggle it on and off in there. And they've got like stations all over the map that you can go, and actually you're seeing it on your screen right now, talk to these little monitors, and like this area will be about attacking, this area will be about items, and it's a literal text dump while you just explore the area and do. I hated it. It was I would have preferred like a match against bots or like something, because the UI is cluttered. There's more stuff than you may be used to as far as battle royales go. There is an attack priority system, so that you do need to be aware of that, even if you don't consciously like execute it well all the time. It needs a tutorial that isn't reliant on me knowing I got to go to playground to see this, because all it says in playground is explore, mess around with equipment, and learn tips. Like, it doesn't say new players start here. Like, there's nothing like that.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I was looking for, was like a
Nope.
tutorial, the word tutorial somewhere.
Nope.
So I just jumped in and started getting beat on until I figured out what the buttons did.
Yeah. And
I sort of explored the playground of getting my butt kicked.
Yeah, so I've actually I played 3 matches for the first look itself. So you're seeing footage of 3 different matches. Now, I had a few matches before that, and I had some more matches after that before I did the first look. But I used footage from 3 different matches because of things I wanted to show on the screen at particular points. I did win one of these, so I actually already have a victory royale in this game, which is astonishing. It's absolutely mystifying. Like, I don't know how. I gave it shit for the tutorial, and I gave it shit for the manipulative cash shop with the pricing. It's actually kind of fun, though.
It is fun. It's silly fun. And
It is.
I like the not ranged, no guns kind of thing. Like, you can chuck a chair at somebody or a bat and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's a melee brawler, and I think that really makes it a lot more interesting and fun. You're not just going to walk across the street and get sniped from 1,000 yards away. You're like, this dude might jump down on you from the roof, but he's going to have to be up in your face to finish you off.
Yeah, and matches are quick because of that. It's a bit of a smaller map. The ring closes a little faster than most battle royales, and you got to get in everybody's face. So, like, even the match I won was still a relatively short match compared to other battle royales when you're, making it to the top 10 or top 15 of a 100-person battle royale. It is a little jank, though. There are some jank moments. Like, there's some texts that aren't aligned right in different boxes, and so they it just looks awkward because the text is shifted far to the right and not aligned center. But then the camera and the environment, sometimes when the environment becomes very close quarters, and you get into a fight in those close quarters, the camera and the environment don't work together sometimes, and you can't. Like, there were times I couldn't see my character because I got punched in the face and thrown back into a corner of a building, and then my camera started freaking out, and I just got demolished in the corner. So
I had the exact same thing happen a couple times.
I did mention that it feels a little bit unfair sometimes when you lose, whether it's stuff like that or whether you just get jumped from the side while you're taking one person on and then 3 people come flying from your left, and just because you could throw a punch and do damage to multiple targets if they're in front of you. So it can become a little bit of a mess, and you're like, that felt cheap. But I don't know if it would ever become my number 1 battle royale, but I think I said in the first look that I'm going to leave this installed. I think this is one that could be a little bit of fun with some friends every once in a while, like shoot the shit for a night and go punch some things in the face, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have not tried it out yet, but I do believe that the idea, the concept behind it is generally fresh. Battle royales in general are kind of saturated right now. So the aspect of, hey, you have to get up close and personal to, really kill someone. Yeah, that I think that's pretty fun. It looks very goofy, very loose, and very just kind of like, a good time. Like as you were saying, it's a thing to kind of just sit down and play with some people.
Yeah. Yep, definitely one to if you're even remotely interested by what you see or what we've said here, then it's probably worth checking out for you. If you're kind of like, I don't know, I might like that, then go check it out. I mean, it's free to play. If you, as soon as I said battle royale, you were like, ugh, then this does nothing new besides it's in your face, over the top, cartoony wrestling, brawling stuff. The rest of it is 100% standard battle royale monetization systems, all of it through and through. All right, before we slide over to the bombs here, I do want to talk about a couple different things we've got going on the site that you may not have seen yet. So, Anthony, you've started doing a weekly column on, I think it's Tuesdays is the day where we've agreed to put them up now, on looking at individual bits of MMO design, talking about their history, how they became a feature in a particular game. Are they implemented well in a game? Does it stay consistent with the game's overall aesthetic? Just looking at the design, the behind-the-scenes side. You started off with the first one this week, which was in Final Fantasy XIV's Adventure Plates. Their live letter will be covered on the site today by Q, so make sure you read the sum-up on that.
Yeah, it was actually really fun to cover this piece of content. Because I'm someone who I don't really big on game design. I'm not really a game designer, but I do enjoy the aspects of like, why is this zone made the way that it is? Why is this feature, is it very, player friendly like, and what is it serving the game? And I felt like Adventure Plates was actually one of the more like one of the best features that kind of came to Final Fantasy 14 as far as like player individuality. Because there are things that a player can do to kind of like stand out, but like this is like one of those things that like was like really cool. And I like how the G post feature, which is something that the community use like very, 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 very much. You can go on Twitter or you can go on to, I mean, there's like, Final Fantasy 14 sites where they literally just have pictures of their characters in different outfits. And like this is like something the community like really loves to, use and do. Now, starting out though, it was very it was very risque, very controversial. There were just a whole bunch of butt pics and a lot of just horny profiles, and it kind of lost its way a little bit. But I think the implementation of it really serviced the community. This community that just love to have their own like type of character, and they're so proud of their warriors of light, and I think it does a lot for it. Um, and as far as like the next one, I'm gonna keep that a secret, for next week.
That works.
But it's something that a lot of people know about. It's something that over the years I've heard about so much, but I never really wondered why is it that it's so, beloved. And so I hope that, you guys read it next week.
That'll be up Tuesday. I forgot what it is. I had to go look at it. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. We also have a feature going on Thursdays on mmobomb.com by Aspen Pash, Rose Hapa, who does guides for Genshin Impact for you. So if you're looking at specific characters, their gear sets, their artifact sets, their kits, like what's the best way to do things as a free player, what's the best way to do things if you shell out a little bit of money and maybe grabbed a couple of things here and there, she's laying those all out for you every Thursday on mmobomb.com. And that's in addition to, obviously, the first look videos that Troy, myself, Anthony, Wilfredo, Ethos do. And we've got the next episode coming in a couple of weeks. This one's going to take a little longer of Should You Return, because it's going to a game that Wilfredo had not played a lot of. So he had to do some additional research there. So lots of great stuff coming soon. That's what pays the bills. Head on over to mmobomb.com and actually Google Gamer Coins. If you like free stuff in games, we just launched the mobile version, but the website version's been active for a while. You don't even have to create an account. But, head on over to Gamer Coins, and, you want Genshin currency, claim it. It's that easy. So go get yourself some free stuff. Works a little differently than Gamer Power. It's through a different sponsorship and different things. So check it out. We're going to slide over right now and start with the weekly bombs. All right. I'm going to give a dub bomb to Final Fantasy XIV players who bought the awesome guitar, the Final Fantasy XIV guitar, doing an entire cover. 24 guitarists playing on that guitar, doing a cover of the Endwalker theme, or the Endsinger theme. And it's absolutely incredible. And the live letter. Did it have everything I wanted this morning as it wrapped up? No, I still wanted a little more information, but I did like seeing some of the variant and Criterion Dungeon stuff. I did like seeing the Island Sanctuary stuff. I do agree with Takal in chat. There was a little bit of a heavy PvP focus today because they want to kick off the official tournament and everything that they've got started. And that Paladin jacket, as soon as they make a Black Mage one, I'll be pre-ordering that. You're not getting my money for the Paladin one, though. You're not getting my money for the Paladin one. What do you got, Anthony?
I want to give an A-bomb to the whole Microsoft Sony situation. I feel like it's very ugly, and we're kind of seeing. I mean, ever since I've kind of been writing about game journalism, I mean, a lot of like the bad practice and a lot of just kind of the animosity between these two has gone out of hand a little bit, and it's amounting to titles being exclusive, to people missing out on trying certain games because, in reality, not a lot of people got a PS5 or got a Xbox or has a PC. So kind of not too fond of that.
What do you got, Troy?
Bomb to the Star Wars: The Old Republic.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Did you say A-bomb or dub-bomb?
I said A-bomb.
Oh.
A-bomb. Star Wars: The Old Republic 10-year anniversary, 7.1 update, 7.0 update, everything that starts with a 7 is
just throw it away.
It's just, I like where the story's going. I like that they're trying to tell a good story here. And a lot of threads are starting to come together, but they're telling it in such tiny little chunks that it's not even entertaining. Just when you start to think, oh, okay, now I'm getting into the story now, it's like, oh, that's the end of this section. And 7.0 was the expansion was the worst of all of them as far as not going anywhere with the story. I think I talked about this at launch. There was no beginning, middle, and end. It was just like beginning, middle, and we're done. And they did the same thing this time. It's like beginning, middle, and we're done again. And I get you're trying to make cliffhangers, but there's a way to tell stories and tell a larger chunk of story and still leave a cliffhanger and still sort of have a beginning, middle, and end to your story that makes sense. It just hasn't been done well. I don't know if it's budget or what, but the story just coming out in such small little chunks it's embarrassing, really.
Damn. That's pretty harsh, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh.
You thought about that, huh?
Yeah, I just played it last week on the stream. I saved the 7.1 content for the stream, and it was just like we all just sat and kind of watched this movie, and I interacted with 3 objects, and that was the extent of what I did for 7.1. I interacted with 3 objects and then just talked to people.
To Kyle saying A-bomb to cell phones, 6-year-old daughter, and water. Nothing else more to say than that. Yeah, I think we can put that one all together. That sucks. That sucks. Japan's Freak says, A-bomb to the 14 live letter, Final Fantasy 14 live letter. I needed to know if you can have retainers on your island, and they did not reveal if you can. I would assume so. Yeah, they didn't reveal it, but they did reveal in the interview prior to the live letter that you are able to queue while you're in the island. So I would be very surprised if you weren't able to retain or bell your retainer there as well. But you aren't able to teleport there, so maybe not. I don't know. That's a good question. It's a good question. Old Glory says, A-bomb to people's laziness makes my job harder. Yeah, preaching to the choir, brother. Ninja Panda says, A-bomb to the current heat wave. Just go and give us rain. Tori the Chicken, welcome back. says, double to Final Fantasy 14. I hung out with a friend online for 5 hours. We just started being bards randomly, and it's the most fun I've had in a game in at least a decade. Just, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Want to be a bard? Okay, let's go be bards together. iMoxie Gaming says, I agree with Ninja Pandas, because we were quoting Ninja during the show. New World is a prime example of what happens if your devs don't have MMO experience. 100%. Go ahead, Troy.
RS Jabber, the bomb to the new Street Fighter 6 gameplay trailer.
Yeah, actually, it looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. Tori saying that's exactly how it happened. What are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. Want to go be bards? So, go ahead, Anthony.
I'm probably going to butcher this,
It's
but
Thoverisk.
I'm sorry. Thoverisk. Thoverisk says, I'm a fan of Ghost Crawler ever since his WoW era.
Yep. I am too. We'll see how the Riot MMO pans out. Question of the week last week. What's your favorite multiplayer gaming developer and why? Or if you want to read the question this way, you could. What company makes the best multiplayer games? To Cal, 2399 saying, question of the week. If you're using multiplayer as just that, meaning games that have more than one person can play as opposed to things like MMOs and the like, then I'd probably have to go with EA. Even in down years, games like Madden, FIFA, Battlefield are at least decently well received. When you add on big hits like Apex, EA seems to be the front runner. As far as my game studio, yeah, that was the unofficial question of the week last week, was you were naming your game studio, 2 words, and then we wouldn't count studios or entertainment or whatever at the end. As far as my game studio names, we have Swearjar Interactive, Belligerent Bison Games, and the previously mentioned during chat last week, Tipsy Cat Studios. I still think Tipsy Cat Studios is your best one. Justin saying, DeBomb to the Final Fantasy 14 Discord live letter translators. Absolutely. I know we're past the bombs, but yes, that is an important one to get in there. That certainly helps Q write those pieces up. Go ahead, Troy.
RS Jabber, I'm reading all your comments this week. As far as company name question, no game studio. Rather be pleasantly surprised than disappointed. Question of the week. Best company that makes multiplayer games is Valve. Yeah, there's not that many, but from Team Fortress to Counter-Strike, they're all strong and iconic titles, in my opinion.
That's hard to argue with. Go ahead, Anthony.
Breckner Callan, question of the week. Stew Studio, because it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, Stew, S-T-E-W, Studio, S-T-U-D-I-O, to which somebody evoked Phil Collins in the comments replying to them. Don't ever do that again, Troy. Shrek says, Rocky Panda Studio. That's a cool name. Question of the week, Grinding Gear Games for the consistent updates, engagement with the community, and the cosmetic-only microtransactions. And man, was there a lot of Path of Exile news yesterday. That's up on the site about the new league, the new expansion, and then, of course, ExileCon coming up, where they are going to announce a lot of stuff for Path of Exile 2 this year. A lot of stuff. So stay tuned. Things are a-movin'. Go ahead, Troy.
Raggarty, Moist Dreamhole for game company name.
Oh, no. No. No.
Favorite multiplayer game dev, DE.
Digital Extremes.
Digital Extremes, yeah, duh. Multiplayer company that makes games now, none nowadays. Used to be Blizz, and now, well, yeah.
I would never buy a game from that studio. Never. Well, Blizz or Raggarty's studio. Oh, God, no. Go ahead, Anthony. Finish it up.
All right, and that Harv guy says Blackjack and Hookers Studio. Now, you have me at the Blackjack, but the Hookers part, I don't know.
So it's a title-by-title basis for you, is what you're saying?
A good title will take you far.
Yeah. Question of the week this week. I want to know, what name is your go-to in most games where you actually get to name your character? Like maybe it's an MMO or whatever, where you get to name your character. What's your go-to name, and where did it come from? How did you get it? Put it in the comments below. Of course, don't forget your weekly bombs while you're there. Bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming. Make sure you click like, click subscribe, and come on back next week. Check out all the other videos here. Until next week, Anthony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @JonesWriter. I'm getting a little bit more active over there, so I would like to connect with other people. So give me a follow. I'll follow you back.
Noob Fridge.
You know what? Hit me up on twitch.tv/noobfridge. Follow my Twitch channel. I'd appreciate it. Also, you can follow me on OnlyFans at Big Daddy Olicious.
Oh, jeez. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb so you'll know every time we go live, post a giveaway, first look video, interviews, articles, and so much more. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.